Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. So come join us in the woods today. We're getting some lumber. We're cutting trees for lumber for future projects. And we're just going to bring you along with us. It's nice and cold this morning, as you can tell by the frozen little stream here.
You can see it written right here.
The leaves are frozen. Some of the leaves are frozen on the
So we're all wrapped up trying to stay warm, but just the way winter is, I reckon.
That's right. It's a good time to be in the woods in the wintertime.
That's right.
It's a good time to run a chainsaw. So eventually we'll probably cut that tree, but it's got a pretty good crook up in the top of it. So for right now, I'm not going to. I think today we're going to take this one and this one right here behind you. They're easy to get to. And for the most part, they're straight. That one's still got a little crook up in the top of it too, but that's fine. We'll cut that out of it. So, I'm out of shape.
It's steep, y'all.
I want to talk a minute about why I choose what trees I'm choosing and how normally I wouldn't cut a tree this size that's alive unless it's a pine. And the reason I don't have no bad feelings cutting pines that are this size is because if we can take a quick walk up to the top of the hill here, I'll show you why. But you see like an oak like this, a red oak like that one standing right there, them big ones. There's no, I mean, those would make some beautiful lumber. There's no way I'm gonna cut those while they're still living. Now, if they fall, hey, it's game on then. I will cut them up in a heartbeat to make lumber out of them. But I'm not gonna cut a hardwood that hasn't failed or that's still alive. The only time I would do that is if we were planning to build something and it was just flat out in our way and we had to get rid of it. But I'm not just going to come out into the woods and cut a hardwood. However, pines are a totally different story. So, around here, there's an old saying, everybody always said the only thing a pine's good for is the fall. And that's about the truth. Which, that's sort of the evolution of a forest is your pines come in first. They grow fast, they create a canopy, and then your hardwoods come in after that. And then eventually the pines fall and get out of the way. I'm out of breath. But, so a lot of times around here, a pine will die prematurely because of little beetles. So this is a pine as well that's already failed. This pine right here is no good for anything now. It's rotten, it's failed. The only thing it can do is just rot and go back to nature. But this pine tree right here is actually already dead. So I was looking at it the other day and I was like, maybe I'll go ahead and cut this pine. After I got to looking, right here, see that hole? Right there's a hole. Right there's a hole. Right there's a hole. And it's like that all the way up through the tree. And so what's happened is they're like a pine boring beetle. It's a beetle that gets in there and they start boring through the bark. Then they get into the tree. And then if I were to cut this into lumber, it would be full of holes and really not structurally sound enough to use as a building material. So if you leave pine standing, chances are this was what's going to happen to them. And once this happens to them, they're really not good for anything except for maybe some firewood or something like that. But as far as lumber goes, they are useless. So that's why I say I have no problem cutting a pine out. And once you remove those pines from a hardwood forest like this, you know, it just pretty much opens up the canopy better for the hardwoods to come on and do their thing. And really, when you've got timber, the hardwoods is what's the valuable part of your timber anyways. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out here and timber your land, because I don't like doing that either. But if the case were to pop up where, you know, you get in a bind, you need some money, and the only thing you've got to fall back on is the timber on your property, the hardwoods are what's the most valuable. And so that's what we like to leave standing. And pines make really good structural lumber. 99% of the wood you buy in the store is some type of pine. And so, you know, they just work really good for making lumber out of, structural lumber. So anyways, I guess today's video will be showing y'all what goes into putting logs on a sawmill and actually making lumber when you do it yourself. Unless you actually buy logs from somebody and have them delivered to your place, you're most likely going to have to go out in the woods and cut some trees and bring the logs in. But most people don't think about that when they're looking at buying a sawmill. I'm not going to lie, I didn't even think much about it. You know, I was just like, all right, I get to mill my own lumber and everything. Well, you don't think about the time it takes to actually go out, find the trees you need, find the tree that's going to fit your needs, cut that tree, drag that tree out to where you can actually get to it to work with it. And, you know, it's just a lot that goes into the process before you actually have usable lumber. So today we're going to show you the, I guess you could call it half the battle here. So we're going to show you what happens to get logs ready to mill. And the reason we're trying to do this today is because later in the week, it's supposed to warm up, the ground will start thawing out, and it's supposed to start raining again. And once it does that, it's going to be way too muddy for us to get logs in and out of here. And that's another thing when you're dragging logs out. It's best if you can tote them out. However, I'm going to be cutting these in 16-foot sections, and I have no way to tote them up through the woods because they'll be too wide. So I'm going to have to drag them out with a chain. So right now, while the ground is halfway froze, that will keep that log sort of clean. And when I put it on the sawmill, I'm not going to have to be washing a bunch of dirt off of it, because that dirt on the outside of the bark will dull your blade in a hurry. So you don't want that. You want to try to have a clean log when you lay it on the sawmill. But anyways, let's go down here and talk about the trees that I'm going to saw, and then see if we can't get them on the ground, cut up into log lengths, and out of these woods here. These 3 trees right here are my interest today. And they're all, once they start falling, going to end up landing in a canopy of another tree. Yeah. Exactly what's going to happen, because there's nowhere for them to go. And where they're all standing pretty much straight, it's going to be hard to tell exactly which way they want to fall. So we're just going to have to persuade them to go one way or the other. But anyways, all right. So first off, I've got 3 trees right here that are kind of on my radar for wanting to cut today. They're easy to get to. I can just drive across the creek down here and come up the hill on the tractor to drag them out. They're fairly straight. This one right in front of me has some bends to it, and where I'm cutting such long logs, I really want to get the straightest tree possible, because it'll be hard for me to cut out a 16-foot straight section out of that tree right there. So that tree is probably, even though we may cut that tree today just so it's out of our way, that tree is probably not going to be one of the ones I get my 16-foot logs out of. I'll have to measure it once it's on the ground. These 2 right here, this little one here and this one, are the 2 that I'm thinking are going to be good candidates for a 16-foot log. And what I'm wanting is some 16-foot 2x8s for a future building we're wanting to build. And I've used all the ones I already had sawed in working on that tobacco pack house that y'all saw in the previous video. So I've got to restock my supply, so they need time to be drying and everything before I actually use them. So when you come and you look at a tree, I like to get right at the base of it and just stare straight up that tree. Let me have this. I got something I want to show you. This tree looks straight. When you look right up there, let's see.
I can see it from where he is.
Yeah, right there it is. you can see it's got a bend in it. And you can't hardly tell that when you're standing away from the tree. So that's also something to think about. However, we've got a really good long straight section here. So this is still going to make a good log for what we want. And then we can cut the curve out of it and use the section past that curve for another log. And anything that's waste out of it will probably get split up into some firewood or something. We'll do something with it. But, so I think this one right here might actually be the first one we take down. When I say this might be used for firewood, this is a pine, and pine is generally not recommended to use as a firewood inside your house because it's got a lot of sap in it, and it'll clog up your chimneys really bad. However, don't take no advice from me on this, but I have burnt dry pine that's been cut and busted for over a year, and it doesn't seem to smoke near as bad or have any of those issues. However, we're burning firewood in a garage, in like a workshop. So it's not as particular about it, you know. I probably wouldn't burn it in my house either. And matter of fact, we also use pine in the hog vat when we're warming up the water. And if you haven't seen that video, make sure to check it out. It'll be linked up here in the top somewhere. But we use pine for that because pine is a really hot and fast burning firewood. And so it makes a really good quick heat. But so the firewood that we cut out of this pine tree will not be burnt in a house, and I don't really recommend burning pine firewood in a house. So just want to make that clear. But anyways, I think that's going to be the first tree we take down right here. And as you can see, there's a little hickory. This is a beautiful hickory tree. It's straight and everything. So I want to do my best to protect this tree right here because this is the type of wood I want in these woods here. So even though it's coming out at the base of this pine, once this pine is cut, that pine stump will probably rot out fairly fast and this hickory can come on up. Now there is a chance that I may tear this hickory up, and if I do, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. However, I want to try to protect that hickory right there if I can. But my goal is to get this tree to go down that way right there. And that's going to be, I hope it does that, because most of the weight, when you look up the tree, most of the weight is on this side because all the limbs are hanging to this side. However, the tree crooks back up the hill here. So I'm hoping that there's enough weight on the side of the tree that it's actually going to want to go that way instead of me having to force it that way. But we'll find out when I make my notches and everything. I'll just do it. I'll do it right, and we'll hope that it does what it's supposed to do. Let's fire up the old saw. Before I get started with this tree, just like in my fencing video y'all saw the other day where we were working on the fence, I also have a separate bag that is totally for chainsaws and working in the woods. Got a little bit of everything in it. I got my wedges, got my tape measure, I got all the files and the scrunches, everything that you would need to do a quick repair or when you're felling a tree is in this bag right here. And then I always like to carry an axe with me too to beat wedges in, and just in case I need to use those, which we may have to put one on this tree. We'll find out here in just a minute. All right, let's see what it does. I'm just going to tell y'all, there's a darn good chance that this tree's going to get caught up in the canopy of one of these other trees. And that's why I pulled the tractor up here to the top of the hill, because if it does, then I can hook a chain around the base of the tree and drag it out of the canopies. So most likely when I go to saw this tree, it's probably not going to hit the ground. I'm fairly confident of that. However, I'll be real excited if it does hit the ground. See what we can do. grab our tape measure and see what kind of wood we can get out of it. Looks like I need to sharpen my saw. You can tell by that sawdust it ain't, I could tell it wasn't quite cutting right, but that's some awful fine sawdust. I thought it was sharp, but I guess I should have hit it a little bit before I started. Anyway, so to measure my log, you can see where it cut off of my notch right there. I'm not going to count this into the length of the wood. I'm going to start right here on this part. Huh? Yes, y'all can come up here now. Look at that stump behind you right here. I like seeing them when they look like that after you've made a cut. So you always, when you make your notch, now I will say, for any of y'all chainsaw critics out there, I did make that notch a little bit too deep. That notch shouldn't have went back into the wood that far, but that's just the way it worked out. But you always want to make your final cut quite a bit higher. Let's show them that real quick, because this is kind of important. As you can see, you know, my notch was right here, down lower, and my final cut was up higher. And there is an actual reason for that. You don't really have to worry about it so much on a hillside situation like this. However, if you were cutting this tree and it was going to be falling right against the stump, where, you know, you see that tree right there kind of fell down the hill and it went out. If you're cutting one and it's going to fall right here next to this stump, when you leave this backstop right here from where your hinge wood is what they call it is, that tree will hit against that before it slides off the stump and goes up the hill and hurts somebody. So you want your tree to fall away from the stump. But if you leave that chunk of wood right there, that acts as a stop to keep that tree, as it's falling, it keeps that tree from sliding off the stump and sliding up the hill and possibly hitting something it's not supposed to hit. Anyways, let's go down here and measure us out some wood. So from the looks of it, this whole first section is fairly straight.
What are we using this wood for?
This is gonna make some lumber. So I want 16-foot material. However, I'm actually gonna cut my log about 16.5. That gives me room on each end as some wiggle room to work with. So I don't have no special tools for this. I'm just gonna lay a stick right here where I want to make that first cut at. I can't believe how the top of that thing exploded, but it went down with some force, so it went exactly like I wanted it to.
Well, let's hope the other two do.
Let's hope they do.
When they come down,
Maggie, don't sit on that while he's cutting it.
That's another reason. I don't know if y'all saw that just right there, where this tree had some pressure on it. I heard it break some of the wood under there, so there is a chance that it split on up into the log. So that's another reason when you're cutting your logs, you want to make them just a little bit longer than you need, so you can cut that split out if you have to. I don't think it actually ruined it to where we can't use it, but I think that that's just something, another reason to cut them longer than what you want. So we're going to try to get another 16-foot section. We can get another 16-foot section out of this. So what would have been ideal would have been to lift this log in one whole section and drug it out of here. But being that I've got to wiggle through tight trees and everything else, it's just about impossible to drag a long tree like that through the woods. So we're going to have to make 3 trips just to get this log out of here. That's okay. It's a good day to do it. And the shorter they are, the better chance it is that I'm gonna actually get them back up that steep hill over there. That's gonna be the fun part. All right, Maggie, can you hold that right there? Yep, this is gonna be the last one we get, because it's busted up here. All right, there's 16 and a half. Man, we ain't even hardly got no trash to cut up off of this tree where it all busted like it did. We got a little chunk right there we can cut for some firewood. Well, that log right there will be our smallest. Let's see if it's actually big enough to make an 8-inch board. That's about 10 inches in diameter, so at the small end. So we might could get like one or two 2x8s out of that log. We'll just have to wait once we get it on the mill and see how that works out. So, next tree probably won't go as easy. This one went perfect. I think the next tree we cut down is going to be this one right here. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to take this little maple right here behind it out for this tree to fall, because if I don't, it's going to hit that maple and it's going to tear that maple up anyway. So that's fine, honestly, because our road that comes up the hill is right here. And these two trees are sort of too close to the road anyways. So, you know, that's no big deal. And this maple will make some excellent firewood. So yes, the maple will have to come down first. We'll get it out of the way, and then the pine will go. And I actually think if we can get this pine and the one we've already cut, that may be enough for today. I may cut one more after I get this one. I don't know, because it's probably going to turn wet again and we won't be able to get back out here. So it'd be nice to have a stockpile of logs. Anyways, all right, let's get back to cutting. So like I said, that maple is going to come down first. We'll get it out of the way, and then we'll take this other pine. I imagine this is definitely going to get caught up in the top of the tree. Yeah. Are you going to catch right in that one? Yep. Right there. Well, guess I can throw it that way.
Yeah. That'd be a clearer path.
Yeah, bad thing is though, when it hits them logs right there, it may break the tree when it lands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I believe it's got enough lean that I can get it to go that way.
Whatever you do, do it carefully.
Well.
Well,
It went the way I wanted. But it just hit that big oak up there instead of coming down. That's fine though. We can hook the chain to it and drag it straight up the hill. All right. Let's get the tractor down here and we'll do that. Caught against the stump. Now if I wasn't trying to save a log out of it, I could have cut a chunk, like a firewood piece of chunk off the base of it here and then drug it up the hill, but I want to get all the log length I can, so I'm going to drag it that way and it should come crashing down. I just hope it don't hit that log right there and cause it to break. That's a possibility, but hopefully it don't. So that was our problem. Why I was having such a hard time moving it. I actually had done forgot about the little maple stump being there. It had it caught. You are. So I'm sure y'all might have seen the front end of the tractor come off the ground right there. And that's not an uncommon experience when you're in the woods trying to drag a log out. So that brings me to something to mention here. This is something Daddy always done, because I've spent a lot of time in the woods with Daddy, cutting trees, dragging out trees, firewood, whatever. And when I'm doing that with my tractor, I like to have a scrape blade on the back. The reason for that is, well, one thing, you've got something that once you're done with your brush, you can push it up out of the way, or if you need to move a tree or whatever, you can push it out of your way. But the main reason is a lot of people will drag trees out with something like a boom pole on the back. And there's been a lot of people killed doing that.
Well, especially on the side of these steep mountains.
Exactly. So when you've got a boom pole on the back, you've got nothing on the back of this tractor to keep it from coming over backwards with you. And once it starts to go, if that tree moves and shoves down a hill or anything, it could just bring the tractor right over with you. When you've got a blade on the back, now this is not an all, the answer to it all. However, it does give some sort of protection from that tractor once this blade hits the ground and puts it in a point. It's like that tractor can't rear up anymore, and so it's the blade acts as a stop and keeps your front end from your tractor from coming any higher off the ground. So having a blade on the back of the tractor like this while you're in the woods dragging logs is sort of a safety feature more than it is anything else. So that's something good to keep in mind if you are ever in the woods dragging out logs. Even if you're tying just your chain to your drawbar down here without anything on the back of your tractor, you can still experience that front end coming up, and it just come right on over on top of you before you know what's even happened. And at that point you're done. So I am just a little bit safe in the woods. There is meaning to a lot of the stuff that I do here. So anyways, like I said, keep that in mind if you're ever dragging out trees. You want something sticking out on the back of your tractor to keep it from coming all the way up in the front end. And the worst thing you can do when that front end comes off the ground is get scared and panic. Don't do that. You just kind of ride it out. And remember, if you put your clutch in, most likely your front end is going to smack right back down on the ground, and there you are, you're safe at that point. So, if you do reach that point to where you're sort of scared, you can always push that clutch in and just let the tractor come right back down. Just don't panic. Do not panic. That's the worst thing you can ever do. Do what, Jacob? On a hydrostatic, you would just let off the pedal. But I don't like pulling logs with a hydrostatic. So anyways, now let's get this one sawed up, and I think we'll get these logs out of here.
trees.
Yeah.
They can't go under there.
Our very first log here is blocking the road, so I can't get across it with a tractor. So we're just going to take and hook it to the front of the Kubota and hopefully swing it around enough that we can get the tractor back down the hill to start dragging these logs out. We're going to work on getting, we got what, 6 logs? Is that what it ended up being? So that means that's 6 trips in and out of here to take these logs out. So that part we probably won't show you all of, because that's going to be a time-consuming process there.
How's that going under there and not crushing the train?
I hope it'll pull it past that stump right there. So this is going to be the test right here. This is not the biggest log, but this will be the first log that we drag back up the hill. I don't know how well that will pick up on here, but that's the hill we got to come out of here on, and it's pretty dang steep. So we're going to find out if my tractor will do it. I think it can, but this is the first log I've ever drug out from in here, so let's see how it goes. We made it up the hill with the first log, so we got to do that 5 more times now. Anyways, bringing them up here to the flat to where when it does rain like it's supposed to rain at the end of the week here, after that rain where it'll be wet, won't be able to do any other type of work, I can bring the sawmill up here, set it up. I'll be right here in the flat and I can get these logs sawed. So let's see if we can get the rest of these out, and we'll catch up with y'all in here in just a minute. Got it? Alright, back the chain back around. So, me and Jacob have safely got the logs back up here to the top of the hill. We actually ended up cutting down one more tree from the time that y'all just last saw. And we got 4 more logs out of it. We got 2 16-foot sections and 2 12-foot sections. So the kids are getting tired. They're going to go back to the house. I'm going to stay up here and get the rest of these logs out. And Jacob got a little lesson on the chainsaw today. I'll insert a little bitty clip of that. And but I'm proud of this young man. I think he's going to turn out to be a real hard worker. He's doing really good. But y'all, he's been a huge help to me up here this evening. Y'all hadn't seen it on camera, but Jacob has done a lot of work. Just like right there, unhooking the chain from the log. I don't have to get on and off the tractor. He unhooks it, and we just keep it rolling. So, you know, I inspire anybody to get out there and get your kids working with you. And, you know, just teach them little stuff like that, and you'll be amazed at what all they'll pick up on while they're young, and you know, they're learning, they're absorbing everything that you say to them and that's around them. But we got all the little brush up there cut up into firewood. We'll go back over there sometime and get that. But like I said, I'm gonna get the rest of these logs out of the woods and probably call it a day after this. We just kind of wanted to show you what's involved in getting logs ready to put on the sawmill. And then later on, you'll probably see a video of us milling these logs up. But anyways, I guess we'll catch y'all on the next video, and we really appreciate y'all watching. Talk to you later.